We're basically drowning in information these days, so today we're exploring how we actually make sense of it all. We're going to go on a journey from these colossal oceans of raw data all the way down to the tiny, powerful signals that can predict how a market feels and drive trillion-dollar decisions. So let's start by just trying to grasp the sheer scale of the ocean we're all swimming in.
I mean, that sounds like something out of a movie, right? But here's the crazy part. It's not a hypothetical. This level of information is actually out there, it's openly accessible, and it's just waiting for someone to analyze it. And this really forms the foundation of our story today, understanding the raw power of data on a scale that's almost impossible to even wrap your head around. All right, so first up, let's try and get our heads around this ocean of data. We're talking about these huge, publicly available data sets that researchers, scientists, heck, even you can get your hands on. This information is literally the bedrock for solving some of humanity's biggest challenges.
Now, when you look at the life sciences, it's just, wow. The potential here is literally life-saving. We have genomic data from thousands of cancer patients, the most detailed map of human genetic variation that's ever been created, and even these incredibly detailed maps of our own cells. This isn't just a bunch of information, it's the actual blueprint for the next generation of medicine.
And it's not just about what's inside us, right? We're using data to understand our entire planet on an incredible scale. We've got satellite imagery to help coordinate disaster response, global land cover maps to track environmental change, and even projects sifting through mountains of genomic data to find viruses before they become the next pandemic.
Okay, so all this amazing data, it's not just collecting digital dust. It is the absolute fuel for the AI revolution that we are all seeing happen in real time. Those large language models we hear about constantly? Yeah, they're trained on massive web archives, just like Common Crawl. Self-driving cars, they learn from datasets like Argoverse. This is the raw material that is literally shaping our digital future. So, that's one side of the coin, right? This incredible, open, collaborative world of data. But there's a whole other side to this story. A world where data isn't just about discovery. It's about generating profit and getting a serious competitive edge. So, welcome to the world of high finance.
And this really lays out the two different worlds perfectly. On one hand, you've got open data. It's there for the public good. But on the other, you have proprietary, super refined data that's designed for one purpose and one purpose only, finding alpha. That's the financial term for a competitive edge in the market. Here, the goal isn't collaboration. It's to outperform everyone else. So let's take a look at a perfect example of this in action, a company called Verity. See, they don't just hand over raw data, they act as translators. They take really complex information like public SEC filings, and they transform it into these high-integrity datasets and expert analysis that professional investment firms can actually use.
And if you want to understand just how big of a deal this kind of translation is, just look at this number, $10 trillion. That is the amount of money being managed by firms that rely on this kind of specialized data intelligence to make their investment decisions. It just goes to show how absolutely critical this refined data has become.
So what kind of signals are we even talking about here? Well, they're often these really subtle clues, stuff that's kind of hidden in plain sight. They help investors navigate the super tricky waters of when a company goes public, whether it's a traditional IPO or something newer like a SPAC. For instance, they might be the ones to spot when a CEO suddenly stops their routine stock sales, which could be a sign they think the price is about to go up. Or they use AI to scan thousands of analyst notes just to find one tiny overlooked detail. This is how they turn all that public noise into private, actionable intelligence.
Okay, to make this all feel a little less abstract, let's zoom way in on just one of these signals. It's a classic indicator people use to get a read on the overall mood of the market, and it's a fantastic example of how a simple ratio can tell a really powerful story. It's something called the put/call ratio. And really, at its core, all it does is measure two different kinds of bets that investors are making in the options market. But by simply comparing those two, you get this amazing snapshot of market psychology.
The best way to think about it is like a big tug-of-war, a battle between pessimism and optimism in the market. A put option, that's a bet that a stock is going to go down. That's what we call bearish. A call option is the opposite. It's a bet a stock will go up, or bullish. The ratio just measures which side is pulling harder at any given moment.
So how do you actually read this thing? Well, if the ratio is high, say above 1, it means more investors are betting on prices to fall. That's a sign of fear in the market. If it's low, like below 0.7, it means more investors are betting on prices to rise. That's a signal of greed.
And here's a really interesting twist. When these numbers get super extreme, some traders actually use it as a signal to bet against the crowd.
All right, let's zoom back out for a second and tie all these pieces together. We've gone from this universe of raw information all the way down to a single number that can reveal human emotion in the market. And this process, it's happening everywhere, all the time.
Remember where we started? In this massive, almost infinite ocean of raw data? The fundamental building blocks of scientific discovery, the raw material for AI, basically the digital reflection of our entire world.
And we just saw how that entire ocean can be boiled down, refined, and focused into one single elegant data point, a number that tells you if a market of millions of people is feeling fearful or greedy in a single moment.
So, when you put it all together, what does it mean? It means that data is the new language. It's how we describe everything now, from cellular biology to financial markets. And learning to speak this language is becoming one of the most critical skills you can have. And that has to leave us with one final pretty big question. If data is a language, then the platforms and the analysts who refine it, they're the translators. They're the ones who decide which stories get told and which signals get seen. So the question we all have to start asking is, what story are these translators choosing to tell us? And maybe more importantly, what parts are they leaving out?